and welcome to the Pekin First podcast. My name is Josh, and I get the absolute pleasure of serving as the online ministries director right here at Pekin First.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean. I'm the pastor here at Pekin First.
And we have a special guest with us today. I call him Dad, but his name is Kevin, and actually my loving wife calls him Pops.
Hello.
This is episode 48. Can you believe it? We're almost 52 weeks is a year, right? Yeah. And it'll actually be 51 weeks. That's actually a year because we skipped 1 week.
Okay.
I skipped Marigold weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, we're almost a year in.
Unbelievable.
All right. The way we start every Pekin First podcast is with this week's personal best. This is something good that's happened in our lives over the past week. And I did give my dad a heads up on this so that he can be prepared for this. We don't usually tell people before they come in, but this is just something that's happened this week that has filled your heart. And Sean, I'll let you start.
I think there's been a couple of things happening this week, but I had a conversation with a person today that was a really good conversation. This individual was just asking me some questions about faith and about returning to their faith and getting plugged into the church. And I love those kind of conversations. You know, I love talking with people who for whatever reason, have disconnected from God or church and are trying to find their way back. And it was very encouraging and just a highlight.
Wow. And it kind of goes with today's theme of this podcast.
How interesting, right?
My personal best is this week I got a text from my stepdaughter, Grace. And Grace is a very inspirational person. And when Grace was in sixth grade, probably fifth grade, is when I came into Grace's life. And she was kind of a shy girl then, believe it or not. She's not now, not even a little bit. But we hit it off. And ever since then, or a little after then, we have been very close, and she is a daughter to me. All the girls are daughters to me, but she's a very special daughter to me. And this week she sent me a text, and she actually sent our family chat a text, and she has written a essay. She's in college. She's going to ICC. She's wrote an essay on people that inspire her. That was the assignment, was people who inspire her. And I was that person.
How about that? That's so cool.
It was, I was installing cabinets, and I had to stop for a minute as I read it because it caught me off guard.
Sure.
And so that filled my heart this week.
And shed a tear, didn't you?
I 100%. Not afraid to admit that at all. And Zena knew it was coming. So as soon as I got home, she's like, so? So, all right, Dad?
My personal best this week is I've been praying for God to give me direction and use me in different ways or how he needs to use me. And this is it today. I had no idea this was coming. He comes running out around the truck before I get ready to head to the job this morning and asked me this. And this is way out of my comfort zone.
So for those of you who don't know, Dad's retired from a cat dealer down in Georgia, moved back up here to be closer to his mom as her health declined, and has needed just a part-time gig to keep himself busy, so he works for me at my job. So that's what he meant around the truck. Like I ran out of the office because the inspiration for this episode was I had writer's block. I text Sean this morning. I'm like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Something is up. And that was at 7 o'clock this morning, something like that.
Yeah.
And by 7:15, it had just come to me.
Yeah.
And as I was writing this, my dad is what popped into my head. So this is episode 48. It's called The Comeback. The stories that are hard to tell, the drug addiction, the alcohol addiction, the lust addiction, and toxic relationships are just some of the stories that surround us all. The skeletons we talk about this time of year are not as scary as the ones that most of us have in our closets. This week, we're going to talk about how beautiful the ugliest parts of our story taught us grace. And this, God has made us to be strong, fierce, brave in moments that could break us. So just to kind of give just to give everybody a background on how this affects me. And so my dad is one of the pillars of my faith. He's the one that took me to church. He down in Georgia. And even before that, when I went to the Army, he handed me a Bible and said, walk by faith, not by sight. And to this day, I still carry that Bible. It's in my book bag. It never leaves my side. And on the inside cover, it says, may God be with you, whatever you do. So that's just a little bit of how his faith has affected mine, and it has everything to do with his story. And so I'm going to kind of turn it over to him. We'll start with the early years. Growing up, tell us a little bit about your childhood and what that was like.
Oh, my childhood was good. I had good, loving parents, and they did bring us to this church here. And as time progressed, I became rebellious, didn't want to go to church, fake being sick. And then going through high school, pretty much got into drugs and alcohol. The only time I quit doing that is when I was in wrestling, training for wrestling. I did do that. And then...
now, in your early years, you had some health complications, correct?
Correct.
What was that?
I had a kidney disease when I was 5. I missed the whole year of kindergarten, except for maybe 1 or 2 months. I went from Pekin Hospital to St. Francis Hospital and spent 3 months in Barnes Hospital in St. Louis.
Okay. So high school years, you wrestled state champion,
No,
state qualifier.
I didn't qualify for state. I was third at super sectional.
Okay. Yeah. So good wrestler. High school is where you met my mother.
Mr. Steak.
Mr. Steak,
Yep.
which is, for those of you who are not from Pekin, that is where Corey's is at.
Mr. Steak.
Mr. Steak.
Okay.
So let's get into the later high school years and early 20s.
Later high school years, I was still, wrestling, and in high school, barely graduated. Got a job at Mr. Steak, met Josh's mom, and we dated for a while. Ended up getting married at 19.
Church wedding?
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Get first. Okay.
Yeah. And we were both very young. So, long story short, started problems and what have you. And we got divorced, and then I got him just about every weekend at that point in time.
Early 20s were a little crazy.
A little bit. The alcohol and the drugs increased a lot. I was working at Caterpillar at that time, and all the way until, it just kept getting worse and worse, from layoffs to, going back to work, and then started tending bar, and then out all night, sleeping all day, and yeah.
So when I was 8 years old,
Yes.
yeah, 8 years old, and I remember the conversation. even though I was, as you get older, your earlier years seem to fade out a little bit. But I remember the conversation, and walk us through the decision to move to Atlanta.
My dad had a friend, and he had moved to the Atlanta area and was like a big guy for a tractor company. And he asked if I wanted to come down, because at that point in time, where I was working was laying off and what have you. And I talked to my mom and dad about it. And when your mom says it's probably better if you get out of here, that is one of the times I really listened. And I had a conversation with him. He might remember it better than me.
I do.
But I did tell him. The thing I remember about that was when we were getting ready, me and a friend of mine went down and said our goodbyes and everything. Then his mom brought him back around, and in the driveway, I got to see him again.
I remember that. I remember the phone conversation, the initial, this is something that I have to do.
Right.
And to this day, you tell me that if that wouldn't have happened, you don't know what would have happened here.
That is correct.
Meaning jail, death. I mean, all the above.
Right.
So the move, then 30, let me see if I can do this in my head. 34?
I lived down there at 37.
Okay. So the diagnosis of diabetes.
The diagnosis with diabetes, I came up here at Christmas when I was 29. And when I was just thirsty all the time, thirsty. 12-hour drive, it took us like 15 hours because I had to stop and drink water, and then diabetes, you go to the bathroom a lot. And I went and I got diabetes. I was on a pill, and then at 30, I became insulin dependent.
So not to give your age away, but that's 36 years with diabetes. Very active. So blessed that the diabetes is being able to be controlled.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about after all that, and then got remarried.
Yep.
And that's where my beautiful sister came from, who has promised us she's going to listen to her father on a podcast.
Good. Hopefully many people will.
Yeah. So where my beautiful sister came from, and then tell us a little bit about that.
Things didn't work out with the second marriage. And we had started going to church, and then I continued to go to church, and it was, I went and talked to the pastor, and it was McKendree Methodist Church in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And Pastor Dan Brown. And we were in there talking, and he just asked me if I wanted to give my life to Christ, and I said yes. And we said the prayer, and to be honest, I didn't have a clue what was happening.
Yeah.
And the one thing I remember is after we prayed and talked some more, I walked out to my truck. I had the black Ford Ranger. And I just felt the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. And it's just I never forgot it, ever.
Wow.
Yeah, there was struggles, there was, and everything going on with everything, but without that strength, of his strength, I would have never made it, I swear.
So your life didn't become perfect all of a sudden.
It did not.
Okay. That's really important, I think, for people to realize, when we make that step of faith, sometimes it's hard to even know, as you said, what's going on, but you get little nudges as the days go on and you say, okay, I see how God is with me in this. And even that, I think, when you go back and you see how God, we call it in the Methodist Church prevenient grace, this idea that God goes before us and leads us and guides us. The whole move to Atlanta, to Georgia, was God's wooing and drawing you first to God's country, which is the Deep South. I mean, that's where God lives. We know that. And he's a Bulldog fan as well. So, but in seriousness though, that pastor and that church were there at the right time for you at that moment, so your life would be changed forever. Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I read something today that said, when you're ready to make the best version of yourself, when God calls you to be that best version of yourself, because even though there's problems and you may not be in the best spot at that moment, but he's called you to make the best version of yourself. He will take away your comfort. He will test your patience. He will make you feel isolated. He will challenge your faith, but he will make sure that you can handle the best version of yourself, whether it's the temptation of the addiction, whether it's the temptation of the toxic relationship. He will make sure that you can walk away from that temptation, and that's why that's why it's not perfect for me. That's why it's not perfect, and something my father doesn't know, I don't think, is at 19 years old, I was becoming an alcoholic. Very, very close. Every night drinking. I was going down the wrong path. And there's one night some events took place that I won't divulge over the air, but some events took place that bothered me a lot when I got up the next morning because I couldn't remember them, number one. And I walked to an Army recruiting center. And that's why I did that. And that started, it pushed my faith journey, because that's when, joining the Army, he handed me that Bible. He told me those words. He wrote that in my Bible. Yeah. So yeah, it's all in his timing.
Right. I mean, a couple of really important lessons here in the whole story, and I'm so grateful for you sharing your testimony with us, Kevin. It's just so powerful, and I think if people who are listening, particularly those folks who might think, I've done too many things wrong. You don't know what I've done. You don't know the kinds of life I've lived. There's no way that God can forgive me. You hear a story where somebody who's been through addiction, who's been through broken marriages, who's been through difficulties and trials in life, God's no respecter of persons. God's going to look at every person. And sometimes the folks who go through the most stuff are the ones who have the most powerful testimony and the most powerful witness to the world around them. I'm grateful for what I went through in my youth. I could look back and regret all of it, but I'm grateful that I experienced what I did, because it's part of my story, and it's a powerful testimony to anybody who's listening right now. Listen, there's nothing that you have ever done, there's no distance you've ever run that can make you outside the realm of God's grace and God's love. So just hear that today.
Absolutely. And that's why when I was writing this story, or this not the story, but this podcast, or writing notes for this podcast, it reminded me of him, because I went through several different versions of the title, and the last one was The Comeback. Blessed that he's here, and which that journey to Atlanta, which lasted 36 years, right? 37 years. Yeah. Lasted 37 years, but look what it has done. Yeah. And then he got to move back up here and spend time with his mom, yeah. And reconnect with the grandkids and reconnect with me. We work together on projects now together. Right. and it's been a blessing
That's
for sure.
priceless. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that
Oh, yeah.
song. There's a song out there right now that's, I don't even know where it comes from, but I've heard it on commercials because it says, "Don't call it a comeback." Have you heard this thing? Don't call it a comeback. I'm not sure what it's all about, but I'm thinking this one is, yeah, let's call it a comeback, because it is really a comeback. I'm not sure what the "Don't Call It a Comeback" is. It's about, they play it on the sports ESPN and stuff, and I think it has something to do with the fact that people are coming back from something. They don't want it to be thought of as a comeback. They want it to be thought of as, a new story or something. Hey, let's call it a comeback. I mean, that's a great word.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Plenty of things going on here at Pekin First. If you're in that spot and you're ready to give yourself to Christ, or want to know what that journey's about, there's plenty of ways to get connected. We got a new Bible study starting. We have November 1st, we have the Open Table Cafe, just a great way to connect with people, or connect with people. Yeah. And if you're ready to make that journey, don't be afraid to walk into a church. We hope you walk into this church. The church is welcoming. Talk to a pastor, talk to somebody in the church. And if you're ready to give yourself to Christ, if you think that you're ready to give yourself to Christ, that's God nudging you, telling you it's time.
Yep.
Just some in thoughts here. I seen something today, and it's a kind of an inspirational thing. I'm an inspirational person. I love inspirational speeches, and Simon Sinek is one of my heroes. And I heard this today, and it said, if you're waiting on God to do something, God's already done it. He's just waiting on you to apply it.
Oh, yeah.
So, any other last thoughts?
That's a good word from old Simon Sinek. Good for him.
Well, that's not from Simon Sinek, but yeah, Simon Sinek is my hero because I love inspirational speeches.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I like that though. I mean, God's done it. We don't have to wait. I mean, there's no I wish God would hurry up and do something right now. I mean, God's done it. God is worked and active and is way ahead of us right now. We just need to catch up, and we need to be willing to say, "Okay, God, I'm right here. Help me to know what the next step is," and He'll always provide for us. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I believe that's all we have for this week. So remember, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.